Hello everybody, welcome back to Waffles RC. Very different video, as you can tell, because I'm not in my garage. We are in my living room. This video, we are just going to go over the builds that I've done this year and a little into last year, because this channel is only a few months over a year old. Some of you have been around from the beginning, some of you are quite recent. So this video is just going to do a quick recap of all the builds that I've done on the channel. For the most part, there's been a few other things, but these were the major builds, and then a few of the events that I went to. And yeah, this is what this video is going to be about. So I'm just going to be doing a voiceover, and then you'll be able to watch through the whole thing, all the builds as I explain them for the most part, all the way through. And if you want, through each build, if you go back through the videos, through the timeline, the older ones, you can find the videos for all of these. Just keep scrolling. I know I need to make playlists, so that's on my list, along with merch. So still working on that. I have my co-host here. You can tell he's working very hard, but that is his job. What we are going to do is look at all the builds. So let's get right into it. All right, so starting off with the very first build we have was the Tacoma. Have the body there, and this is back when I was pretending like I knew how to read a tape measure, but I was trying at least. Then mistakenly drawing on my workbench and realizing that I can't get the Sharpie off of it, no matter how many suggestions you guys gave me. So this is me trying to explain to you guys how I do it, but as you can, or as a lot of you know from that video, yeah, I wrote wheelbase and down incorrectly, as you can see. So just welding up all the pieces that I made for the frame. And there's the frame completed and ground down. So this is what the frame looked like after I got all the suspension put on it, got the axles hung, tires on it. And this is with the motor, the transmission, the transfer case. I don't have the motor in it yet. And what has become known as the ultimate test for every build that I do is the stairs. This was the first one to be on camera doing it, sort of. Took a little bit of work, but it made it eventually. So we took it out, me and my wife, just went out to have some fun and see how it did. I like to push my stuff a little bit harder, as you can see, so even though it's a fresh build, just take it right into the water and submerge everything. All my electronics that I do are all waterproof, so that helps. And this is further proving how much waterproofing I like when it comes to my RCs. It's basically floating because of the body. So now we're moving on to the Escalade. I started this project off camera and then brought it onto camera. It was before I started the YouTube channel. So basically this is a big rock crawler with adjustable suspension. They have a kit for adjustable suspension. It was very expensive. I decided to try and do it with just servos and see if I was able to make it work. So you can see servos on the back and on the front. The shocks connect to the servo horns, and then everything sits just like a normal one would, except the coils are sitting on the servos. And here it is in all its glory, doing its thing. and I found this setting and just was having fun with it. You can change all the settings in the remote if you have the ability to within the remote. Then I thought, you know, what would be better than a Cadillac Escalade with adjustable suspension rock crawler? Exo cage, because why not? And you know, if you're doing a exo cage, you have to have a little ladder. If you're anywhere on the internet, you get the joke. And that is the exo cage fully put on the Cadillac. Had a lot of fun making that cage. It was quite difficult, but it turned out really, really well. And this is the mess of wiring that goes into a build like this. But a few zip ties, you can make anything look good. And here is the painted body on it. Didn't put it on the body mounts or anything, and just stuck it on there. And of course, had to test it to see how well it would do. And when you don't have an RTI ramp, you just use your other Jeep. Then you adjust the suspension so you can get more flex. That was my favorite part of the whole thing. So here we are starting on the hauler. This, up to this point with this build, was my most complicated idea that I was gonna try. So normal stuff, starting with the frame. Took a Suburban body, because I wanted a 4-door Chevy for the cab. That was the front part of the frame. And you can see my drawing from the Toyota is still there. Then this is the Suburban, and now it's not a Suburban. I wanted a crew cab Chevy, and this was the closest I could get to it, was getting that Suburban body. Added a toolbox on the back, because I needed a place to put the batteries. And there's our conceptual drawing, and there's the final product, as it is so far. So here it is with all the axles underneath it. I hate all those axles. They were a bad buy. Don't buy them. I didn't even put a link in the description for those things. They were and still are to this day nothing but a problem. So there's the flatbed. Got the little Toyota up on it. You can see how beat up it is. It's because I use them. That's what you're supposed to do with these things. Here are the rams that I use for anything that I have that's movable. They're relatively cheap, and they sure did do the trick on this build. Here they are wired up and working for the first time. Of course, my other co-editor. Had to put him in. Just looks so cute, doesn't he? So this was my trailer hitch idea. It works for the most part. Still needs some perfecting to this day, but got a lot of other builds. But when it does work, it worked really, really well. And towing the trailer, I had no issues. There is the mountain of tires that goes into a 6-wheel drive dually. And here it is sitting on all of its tires. Got the bed mostly complete. Trailer hitch is hanging off, but I still love this truck. It is one of my favorites. There you can see I built the sliders, got the transmission in there, toolboxes, fake knobs, and a place to store my candy. Gotta have that. Got 2-speed transmission in this one, so it can go a little bit faster. And the trailer. This thing was a big one. It actually has the most views on my channel as it is right now. I think it's at like 70,000 views, somewhere around there. This is a very popular video. There it is with the triple axle underneath it. Actually looks like a real trailer, except it's sitting on a workbench. And here is my foldable ramps, which will also be on a hydraulic ram. You'll see. And of course I had to have powered legs, which those broke immediately. But here's the power ramp. Really does make it nice to just flip a switch and that can all go down by itself. And that trailer is on its own power source as well. So it has its own battery, B, C. Here's everything all hooked up together. That in total is about 6 feet long. So now we have the deck on the trailer, got everything hooked up. So now we're back to the hauler, and if you thought there was a lot of wires in the Escalade, imagine this one. It's still a bit of a nest, but it's all I can do. So we have the trailer there, and a truck that's wired up right there. So what kind of weird stuff am I gonna do? That's right. When people tell me that my RCs won't be able to tow itself, this is pretty much my go-to. Now, is it happy doing this? No, but it is doing it. I debeaded all the trailer tires. This was RC Fest, had a lot of fun here. Turned into a hauler meetup, that's for sure. A lot of great people out there. I had so much fun. And just playing around, having a genuine good time. And of course the mud truck, before it broke, because it breaks every time. My nephew driving my Bronco, I'm driving the Jeep, just having fun on the obstacle course that they set up there. Like I said, this was a super cool event. If you guys want to go next year, I will be there for sure. And I want to see you guys there too. And the hauler just doing what it does. I just used bungee cords to hold everything on, but the thing did so good with RCs. When it's not a 200-pound person on it, it does really well. Ah yes, now the 4Runner build. This was my attempt at doing an IFS out of my own stuff. As you can see, didn't really work out that well. I honestly haven't worked on it, but I haven't been able to get it to drive and steer correctly, but I'm sure one day I'll figure it out. So this is what I did instead, was I built a new frame and did a solid axle swap. It's very popular on Toyotas, so it matches. Here's with the motor, the transmission on, and it was just a very basic frame. That's all I really needed for it. Having some fun with the neighbors, because why not? And its first movement under its own power. Built a little cage just to support the body so that when it rolls over, it doesn't just crush the body. And of course, we had to deliver it in a very spectacular fashion, if I might say so. And me and the wife took them out to have some fun. You always got to take them out. I don't like to just build them and not use them. We always got to take them out. It performs very well still to this day. It does have new tires on it because those got torn up. So this was the Piece Together Mercedes. A very funny build, but this was my no fabrication build. It's just all Amazon parts, no welding. You can buy all these parts on Amazon. If you go and watch the video, the first video for this one, you can find links to all the parts that I used in it. And yes, it is still expensive. I've never claimed that it's cheaper than an RTR, but you get all upgraded parts for about the same price rather than an RTR, then upgrading it. Here it is moving under its own steam for the first time. And once again, this was all bolt together. And I think the frames it came out really well, honestly. And of course, when you're picking a crawler body, the first thing that comes to mind is a Mercedes car. I thought it was too hysterical to not do it. It was almost a bet by my wife, and then, me being me, I put a roof rack on it, and as you can see, once my hand moves, I turn it into a tow truck. It's just so funny. I love that car. And the buggy build. This was all tube chassis, I guess you would say. It was just 3/16 solid stock. Wanted to make a crawler buggy. This one is in line for upgrades. It's very capable. It does really well. The only thing I don't like is the disproportion of how skinny the axles are versus how long it is. So I'm going to get wider axles for it. But it just has a presence about it and looks so cool. Put some skins on it just to make it look a little bit more scale, I guess you would say. Then got a bunch of accessories. Got this fuel tank, really good fuel tank. And there it is all together. Very happy with how it turned out. Once again, all the electronics. That's the hardest part, is hiding electronics in these things. So like I said, the thing performed incredibly well. It's just the axles are too skinny for me personally. For a buggy, it needs to stick out further, I feel. So it's on the block soon, after a few other ideas that I have going around. There's our original paint booth. Then had to play at night with all the vehicles that had lights on them. And there's the buggy all put together. Got the lights on, it's all painted up. It was a great build. So the 79, very, very fun build that I'm very proud of. This one was hard because obviously making my own frame and going a little bit different way, I also used a hard body, not a Lexan, so that made it even harder with all the details in that. But we just keep chugging along. As you can see, we got it sitting on all fours. This one I made a tray for it. If some of you remember that I did a tray, making it look like an Australian style vehicle, because the 79 series is Australian, or is sold in Australia. Here's the main cage that I made for the tray itself. Just putting some skins on it, welding it up, making it look nice and pretty. And yes, all of this is made of steel, and yes, you are very correct. That made the back of that vehicle very heavy, especially with all these awesome accessories. Except those are the lightest things of the whole build. Got it all dressed up. Got inside the canopy, movable ice tray, or ice chest. So here was the motor and transmission that I decided to go with. Still have not broke that center drive shaft, by the way. This was when all the metal work was done. I did the bars, the front bumper, sliders, the back. It all came out so perfect. And what did I do with the bed from the hard body? I turned it into a trailer. Because don't waste parts. Then we took it up to Toyota Fest, where we had a great time just driving around, seeing a bunch of really cool Toyotas. There's me and the wife having a good time. And of course, I had to show my dominance because I saw another RC with nobody driving it, but just had to show it, you know, who was really boss at that show. And all those big trucks, they thought they were good at the RTI ramp. They have no idea what they're missing when they see these things. You got nothing on me with these. Okay, they drove up a lot further, but proportionately, I would have won. But I did win first place in Best of Show for RCs. So this was the X-Max, all pieced together using Amazon parts or get stuff from A-Main. You can get all the plastics for an X-Max pretty cheap. So that's what I did. I bought the whole chassis, all the gears. I literally bought everything for an X-Max, but then I did upgraded parts for it to replace what stock parts would have been replaced. So like the gear sets, the motor, the ESC, the diffs, the control arms, all that stuff. I just did the upgrades, and yeah, it was still expensive. There's no getting around that. But it was cheaper than buying an X-Max and then going and upgrading it. That's my justification behind all of my builds is, yes, they are expensive, but I'm doing all the upgraded parts already instead of having stock parts. Same here, all these steering components, those are all upgraded stuff, so didn't have to replace any of the stock stuff. Here it is all put together, ready to go. And I went with this Raptor body. I thought it was a lot cooler than the factory body. Still barely know how to put that body on correctly, but man, it sure does look good. It doesn't look like that anymore because I've crashed it quite a few times. And going from crawlers to a basher, it's a very different animal, but it's a lot of fun. And of course, we had the race of the century, me and a 6-year-old. It was a lot of fun. He was having a blast with me chasing him with the RC, and he was on a little e-bike. We were just having a good time together. Obviously, I'm going quite slow, but that was the whole fun of it. You know, sometimes you gotta slow down and just enjoy the moment. And that kid was having a blast, and here's me almost hitting him, so, you know, that happened. But he wasn't mad at me for that, so we kept on going. And he wins just by a hair. I had a lot of fun that day. So now we're starting the semi. Here's my CAD drawing, you know, very sophisticated over here at Waffles RC. All the finest tools. And we're building a Zack lift. Most of you have probably subscribed because of this build, so here's the very beginnings of it. That's how I start complicated builds. There's one pile of metal that started this whole build, was all that stuff right there. So gotta start somewhere, so made the frame and hung the front axle. Then I hung the rear axles, and this frame has been adjusted since. It's actually about an inch or two skinnier than it is in this shot now. I have the dual transfer cases. And then the shoebox. Yes. Sometimes with these projects, it just looks like a shoebox. And it's not until you really get into it that it starts looking more like what you want it to. You just got to be able to get past it. So, welded everything, added some fenders, then it started actually looking like a truck. It was making me more happy seeing that. Then we get the stacks. Then we flip the cab up. You guys know that that flips up so that way we can get to the electronics. Then started making little accessories like my air cleaners here. Then we got the tires on. Well, a few of them. I, had to buy it piece by piece. Then we got all 6 tires. This is before the tag axle, obviously. Got the fuel tanks on there. I did stretch the frame here by about 3 inches just because it didn't proportion out very well. And yes, it is a mess of drive shafts. I think last time I counted there was 17 drive shafts on this thing. But it does work and it does drive. So starting from the back, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, not 17. I think there's probably about 10 on it now. But here's the grill, some lights, finally cut out the windows so that way now it really looks like less of a shoebox and more like a truck. Then we got the mirrors on. That was a lot of fun trying to manipulate that. But it came out super, super well. And you guys have been watching along, you know this is pretty close to the end, honestly. And see, all the drive shafts do move stuff. And it does tow, of course, like normal, me. If you're gonna do a big hauler build, you gotta really test it. And I sure did, because why not? Can't take this all too seriously. Sometimes you just gotta have fun. And when you're having fun, make sure you tighten the bolts on your wheels because they'll just, pop off just like that. So here's starting the Zack lift. Here's just the main frame. There's the boom back there. That's gonna sit right in there. There's a Zack lift mostly put together. Actually, that's pretty much all together. Here it is with all the axles plus the Zack lift on there. Looks really good, but there was one piece that was bugging me, and that was the front. So I made a big tool cabinet. Zack lift does have that on a few of theirs as well. So now I have a place to put all the electronics, easy accessibility into it. And here it is, working in all its glory. That Zack lift is on its own battery and controller, so it can be disconnected from the truck at any time. Then we have our unwilling participants in this particular video, where they get towed whether they like it or not. I have it grabbing the axles instead of the tires so that way I don't have to disconnect drive shafts. Then we took it into our very fancy paint booth, Mother Nature's air conditioning. And then I dropped a freshly painted piece that looked really good. Until I dropped it into the weeds right there. Here it is with the trailer. Finally got all the paint on it. I was very happy with how it turned out. Luckily, the headache rack blocks all the weeds that are still on that truck to this day. And this is the most recent. You guys should know this. We got the trailer with our wide load, and we have all the lights. And I am not done with lights on this truck, by the way. Lots more to come. I don't know if you guys can see her or not. Oh, she moved her head. Here's my chief of staff. Thank you guys all so very much for this wonderful year of having this YouTube channel, building these RCs. I've had an absolute blast interacting with you guys, going to events with you guys, and just having a lot of fun building RCs. And that's what RCs should be. It should be fun. So keep that in mind when you're building any of yours. If you get stressed out, just walk away, take a break, then get back to it with a clear head. All right, so in about 1 year, according to my analytics, in about a year has grown so much that it's still hard to believe that we are at 7,318 as of the time that I'm shooting this video. So to have that many subscribers is just absolutely incredible and awesome. And I thank every single one of you, whether you comment or like or subscribe. Every single one of you brings this channel that much higher. And I'm going to keep going. So if you guys have any ideas for me or videos that you want me to do, send them down in the comments. I want to see what else we can do to keep growing this channel. I can only do so many big builds. This semi is taking a lot to get it done, but when it's done, it's going to be so much fun. Do you want to see more tutorial videos? Because I know there's not a lot of those out there, like how to wire up an RC car from either just bare or upgrading. Do you want to see upgrading a stock one? Slight hint that I'm leaving right there. And if you've made it this far in the video, you now know that that exists and that's what it's for. So yeah, just leave them down in the comments. I want to hear from you guys. I want to see what else you want to see with this channel other than just big builds, because I don't have the budget for big builds all the time. But I want to make the channel better for all of you to watch, make it more enjoyable. So from Waffles RC, from my chief of staff and my co-editor, co-host right here, very hardworking person. You have no idea how hard this one works. She's upset because I was just talking to somebody else. Oh, another idea that I did have for more content was buying broken RCs off of Facebook Marketplace and fixing them and then giving them to people's kids or people that I know. I don't know how to do all these giveaways and stuff like that, but I'm sure we could figure something out. But I can't keep adding too much to my collection because I only have so much room. So let me know if that's something that you guys want to see as well. So from Waffles RC, thank you all so very much. And we will see you next time.